10 years after the world believed Prince Zango was swallowed by the forest demon Esu, he slipped back into the Oyo Empire under the humble guise of a wandering merchant. Dust clung to his cloak, shadows clung to his name. Emire the midget, the sharp-tongued trickster who seemed to know every secret whispered in the empire, told him, "Before you make a single move," Emire warned, "seek the oracle. The city is not the same, the throne is not the same, and the man who sits upon it is not a man you should face blindly." The regent, Bashi Ghar, ruled Oyo now, a war chief, a usurper, a butcher. He had dethroned and assassinated two of Zango's royal uncles to seize power, despite having no bloodline claim to the throne. His rise was carved through treachery and sealed with fear. Ghar was no ordinary general. He was a creature forged in war and steeped in forbidden magic. Tales whispered that during the Borgus War of 1745, he single-handedly cut down hundreds of enemy soldiers north of the Niger. Some said he fought like a man possessed. By ancient taboo, the war general was forbidden from entering the Oyo capital or standing before the king. If the empire needed him, emissaries would ride out with sealed commands. But Ghar had broken more than tradition. He had broken the empire itself. To root out threats, he created an annual tournament, an arena of blood where warriors fought to the death. The final survivor, exhausted and wounded, would face Ghar himself and die by his hand. It was his way of pruning the empire of potential challengers. And now, rumors had reached him. Rumors of a stranger in the city. A stranger who resembled Zango, the last surviving ember of the royal bloodline, capable of threatening his rule. Ghar's spies reported the sighting. His pulse quickened. Zango was supposed to be dead, devoured by Esu in the cursed forest. Yet the whispers insisted he had returned. "This," Ghar muttered to himself, pacing in the dim torchlight of his war chamber, "this is the greatest prize my tournament will ever see, and perhaps the only thing that could end me." He ordered his men to seize Zango. For the first time in years, Bashi Ghar felt something unfamiliar coil in his chest. Not anger, not ambition, but fear. Zango arrived in the ancient city of Oyo. He sought out the old woman oracle, a bent, whispering priestess whose shrine sat at the edge of the city like a forgotten wound. Her eyes were clouded, but her voice carried the weight of centuries. She cast the Ifa shells, their clattering echoing like distant thunder. Then she spoke. "Zango, in 3 days you will face a power unlike any you have ever known. You will triumph, but your victory will bring fire upon Oyo. The city will fall, the empire will crumble." Zango stiffened. "How can my victory destroy Oyo? How can the fall of a mighty empire come from my hands?" The oracle inhaled sharply, as though the spirits themselves burned her lungs. "I see calamity. I see fire. I see lightning tearing the sky apart. The gods are furious with General Bashi Ghar, and they seek to channel their wrath through you." Zango shrugged. "If the gods want to punish Bashi Ghar, let them. I have no quarrel with that." "At what cost, Zango? At what cost?" She cast the shells again, her face drained of color. "Ifa says you must leave Oyo before nightfall. Go into exile, never return. Only then will the people be spared." Confused and unsettled, Zango stormed out of the shrine, the prophecy gnawing at him like a restless spirit. But Zango's stubbornness was legendary. He ignored the warning. That night, Bashi Ghar's men crept into his lodging, armed with a potent sleep juju. The charm paralyzed him instantly. They bound him in chains and dragged him to a dank jailhouse beneath the city. The jailers tormented him, but Zango remained calm, not because of bravery, but because the oracle's prophecy now haunted him more than their blows. When Bashi Ghar finally visited, he looked at Zango with mocking curiosity. "Tell me," he sneered, "why hasn't the mighty god of lightning broken his chains? Or are you just a story the people tell?" Then he leaned closer. "Tomorrow you fight in the arena. Refuse, and I will call you what you truly are, a fake." That word struck Zango like a blade. Fake was the one insult he could never abide. The fate of Oyo trembled. Tournament day arrived. The crowd roared with bloodlust. Zango cut through 3 gladiators with terrifying ease. No fatigue, no hesitation, no mercy. The crowd gasped. Bashi Ghar frowned.
"I challenge you to a fight!"
When the third opponent fell, Zango pointed his sword at the king's podium. "Bashi Ghar, step down and face me." The generalissimo hesitated, then rose. "If you defeat me, Zango, the throne is yours." "I don't want your throne. I only want your life. Let Oyo choose a new king after you fall." Bashi Ghar descended into the arena. As he walked, a blazing trident materialized in his hands, fire swirling around it like a living serpent. Zango did not flinch. In that instant, the sword in his hand transformed into a massive double-bladed battle axe, the same mystical weapon Emere had promised would appear in moments of mortal danger. Lightning crackled along its edges, humming with ancient power. Zango felt the vibration. He remembered the oracle's words, lightning and fire. Bashi Ghar's trident erupted into full inferno. Zango's axe sparked with stormlight. There was no turning back now. "If this is the fate of Oyo, then so be it," Zango whispered. The 2 warriors stepped forward, and the gods held their breath as the battle began. As the battle turned into a cataclysm beyond mortal comprehension, blow after blow shook the city, neither champion yielding. Then, in a moment that would scar history forever, Zango's battle axe awakened with a terrifying force. Energy surged through the weapon, blazing brighter than the sun, wild and uncontrollable. With one final strike, the axe released a colossal explosion that consumed the Witch King, obliterating him where he stood. But victory came at a devastating price. The arena vanished in the blast, reduced to rubble and fire. The unleashed power surged outward, spreading like a storm of destruction. Flames leapt from building to building as the very air seemed to ignite. Towers collapsed, homes exploded, and markets turned into infernos. Zango, overwhelmed, could no longer control the power he had summoned. Panic seized the people of Oyo. Families grabbed whatever they could carry, fleeing through burning streets as their once glorious capital crumbled behind them. Screams mixed with thunder as the empire's heart burned. The prophecy had come true. This was the beginning of Oyo's fall. Grief soon turned into blame. To the surviving citizens, it was Zango's power that destroyed their home. Though he had slain the tyrant who stole the throne, the devastation overshadowed his triumph. Condemned by the very people he fought to save, Zango chose exile, disappearing from the ruins of the empire. Homeless and broken, the survivors of Oyo journeyed southwest, crossing toward lands beyond the Niger River, carrying with them memories of a kingdom lost to fire and prophecy.